Well, hello, and welcome to our Red Feather Mind Body Spirit interview event. I'm Christopher McClure, and today we have a wonderful guest, Debra Zachau, who is most recently co-creator of Clarity Tarot. I got it right here. Oops. Uh, with the artist Kate Matthews. And we wanted to catch up today to learn more about this amazing deck, how to use it, and what's ahead. But first, a little background on Debra. Debra's account is a master of tarot and a certified soul realignment practitioner, providing services for those who want to understand more fully who they are at the soul level. She offers a way to facilitate positive changes to help individuals live their most authentic selves. She has performed at small parties as well as large corporate events as an entertainer, speaking on a wide range of topics. I was reading about some of those in here, Debra, all kind of different things, carnivals, whatever. I mean, you'll go wherever to teach,
Yeah,
which is wonderful. So Debra's dedicated to her international clientele, whom she supports as a spiritual advisor daily. So that is exciting. We'll talk about that as well. So welcome. How you been? How's your day going?
the day's going great. I just have full disclosure. I live in California, and this beautiful display behind me here might come down at any time because
Oh, I
we have
know. You just had,
earthquakes, right?
was there just one out there or something like yesterday
Yeah.
or
Oh,
something?
they're everywhere.
Oh, they're everywhere.
So
Okay.
this is my wall of fame here.
Yeah, your wall of clarity.
That's right, clarity.
Right. So next coming out here now is really wonderful. I'm glad it's finally here, and just so much to really love about this deck. And we'll get into that very soon. But first off, I always like to ask about people's kind of cartomancy, tarot journeys, and how you got into all this. So if you would tell the audience, kind of like what your tarot and divination story is, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, I thank you. I've always been interested in divining the future on some level, and there was back in the 80s, or yeah, about the early 80s, there was a new metaphysical shop close to my city.
All
So
right.
I took every class, astrology, moon stuff, witchcraft, tarot, oracle. I did everything. I just really dove in. But
Mhm.
I had the greatest tarot teacher. Her name was Shar, and she was so good, and I understood it. And so I did practice it, but my real life of making money was a hairdresser. I owned a hair salon in Seattle, and so I would weave in the tarot to my clients. I'd give them readings or just have fun with it. But I really enjoyed doing it, but found out I was like accurate 50% of the time, quite frankly,
Okay.
because I wasn't practicing enough.
Sure.
I didn't understand every card and the combinations and if they're reversed and all that stuff. But I decided I really wanted to be a lot more accurate. So I devoted myself to really understanding the each and every card.
Mhm.
And then I wanted to work a lot. So I went to a bookstore, worked there, or yeah, metaphysical bookstore, worked there a while, did events, did all that. And then
Mhm.
I started up with the psychic hotlines. I belong to two psychic hotlines, and
Mention
it's
those.
one call after the other. Love, money, business,
Mhm. Mhm.
all of those topics, and you have to be. It's different when you do something a lot,
Oh, sure.
and
Yeah.
so
The volume of that would really
the
hone
volume of it. I
you.
realized, Chris, that I was getting, after a few calls, I was getting kind of tired, and I'd have really good calls and then a bad call. It seemed like I wasn't on the mark, and I was
Mhm.
curious about that.
Mhm.
And that's why I created this deck,
I see.
because because to go into to do a good reading, to be an awesome reader, you need to meet people where they are and really understand which door you're going to walk into, to
Mhm.
be able to understand what, give them the right advice or whatever you uh whatever reason they're there for. But
Mhm.
the thing is that when you get tired and you're doing it a lot, you need something on your table that's going to keep you inside your intuition,
I
so
see.
you don't
Right.
drift off into your imagination. And that's a big thing that I speak about in the book,
Right.
that is a companion book. So that's how I started. And
Mhm.
so basically, it's to make professional readers better, more confident, and more successful, and to make the novice aspire to something great.
That's great. No, and I think it definitely does that too. It's funny as you're mentioning your evolution as a reader and so forth. You mentioned your hairdressing. And actually, like
Yes.
that's people would sit down and talk to you about their troubles or whatever. So you're set up kind of to listen and respond. I imagine,
Yep.
with that, as well too. And I like how you said, meeting people where they're at. That's actually one of my personal mantras: meet people where they're at. Meet people where they're at. Because that's all you can do. So everyone's going to be at different levels, having different days, whatever, and so it's important to zero in on where that is, and kind of just approach every interaction that way. So, and I think one of the things about this, and I think it's perfectly named then too, is with the clarity in several different ways. It's interesting how it cuts through so much.
Mhm.
It's a very good way to bring yourself back to focus. I
Right.
think
Exactly.
it's going to be if you're off here and tapping into whatever, it's a good medium to be able to kind of zero in on what you need to.
Mhm.
So
And that's a good point because on each card, on each card, there are many different things to read. The
Mhm.
image is there. You've
Yeah,
got the keywords for love and money and the yes, no, and all that stuff on here. But you don't have to use every bit of information on this card to
yeah.
to do what you need to do to serve a person well. It's not like you're over. I'm not saying that there's 78 cards you have to know the meaning of,
Hmm.
plus this, plus that, plus no, no, no. You don't have to put everything together at once. It's just little messages that your intuition is going to tell you what will take you through the door of knowledge, basically. So
Sure. Yeah, no,
yeah.
that's a really great way to phrase that and approach the cards. And I think it's really they're different guideposts, and I guess you'd be drawn to different things as you're reading each card, as
Yeah.
well. And I guess it kind of into my next question: what do you really feel kind of sets this apart from other decks that are out there? There are different components to it. There are basically five unique components overall. Kind
Mhm.
of make it kind of what it is really, but really what in your mind really sets it apart from other decks that are out there?
The first thing I want to say is support.
Hmm.
That is what's going to set this apart. Now, I've bought a lot of decks and I've enjoyed them very much, and
Hmm.
I've done webinars and learning and classes and everything. But the thing is that I'm not going to leave the person who enjoys this deck alone because I offer practice sessions and to understand, to build your intuition and to use the deck properly and to fast track yourself from being a novice to professional. That's my objective.
Hmm.
But inside the deck, there are so many different cultures and eras. Now,
Hmm.
this is important because, like, say, the three of, I don't have it on hand, but the three of Pentacles is Kate drew the picture, and it's a completely different era of time
Hmm.
than the Nine of Swords. This is where you're going, if you want to do Akashic record work, if
Hmm.
you want to do genealogy, if you want to do it, all of that is represented in here. So the cards will point you into a different direction as you move into your intuition on that. So that's what sets it apart. The timing and things like that, those theories will be addressed. How to use that, it's in the book. I
Hmm.
actually had a student read the book and I gave her a deck. This is hilarious. I gave her a deck and she texted me a sentence I wrote in the book, and I texted her back, "You're reading the book," because so few people, right, really read the book.
Right, exactly.
And
Yes.
she wrote me this sentence that I had put in the book, and she goes, "This means the world to me." And I thought, oh, that was such a
That's wonderful.
wonderful thing. It's so great. But
Mhm.
I do address all this in the book, but it's the practice sessions and getting groups together and practicing with it, with yourselves that will help a lot.
Yeah, the book is really critical to understanding the deck, and it's a kind of a cliche that a lot of people just will. There's a term called "little white book," let's throw it away and not use it. Or this is far from that.
Mhm.
Really, that's
Yeah.
we like as a publisher like to put things really substantial books and meaningful books into every deck that we
Yes.
do. That's important for
Yes.
us too. And so this is definitely that. And you highlight very unique areas that you can use this with. One is the keywords. You have the keywords on here for each one. I pulled, this is the Hermit I have here, which is also the cover. And so you have the keywords here for love and money, like the most popular question, right? So for love and money. So that's really important because that's an easy go-to, but you don't have to start there. That's a start or finish there, I should say. It's a potential starting point, but not the only way you can go.
Exactly. That's how it works. And also it'll give you, so the love and money, so money is tangible. Those are factual ways
Mhm.
of approaching that card, the meaning of that card.
Mhm.
And the love part is the emotional part. So if you're doing a reading and it's about, let's say it's about someone's career,
Mhm.
and you get to the Hermit card,
Yeah.
and let's say you get to the Hermit card,
Mhm.
and your mind just goes right to the emotion part of it.
Okay.
So let's say your eye goes right to the love part,
Yeah.
the love side of that card, then you know that's your intuition telling you address the emotional part of this right
Okay.
now. You can speak on the money part, but go through the emotion. Spend some time with the emotional. It's fabulous. Well,
Well, you're going to be.
I apologize.
Yeah, right. Right. No, it's okay. That's all right. That's natural. But that's a fine reaction there. It's probably should how it be should be. I didn't pick that up actually. So you're saying with the love, it's not just love. It's just the emotion of things. You're saying
Emotion part of it,
with the emotion
right?
more okay, and the money is more. You're saying the tangible, practical sides or
Tangible, practical, right?
practical. Okay, all right. And so the keywords relate just not only to that.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. Okay. Wow. That's I missed that. I'm sorry. That's great. Thank you. That's going to be helpful for the audience as well to understand that that's just one thing, with these cards. You also have like a yes no on many of the cards too, which is really interesting too. So what's the emphasis? What's the reason for those?
Okay, so a lot of times clients want a yes, no, and should I stay or should I leave? I preface that every time I do a reading saying, I'm not going to tell you who to stay for and who to leave,
Yeah.
period.
Right.
I can just go through and see what's happening. If it's a yes, no. Now, this is where the nuance and the lessons, the practice sessions really help because let's say you have an emotional attachment to your client that if a no answer is going to devastate them. We have to be mindful and caring for people.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I lay out 5 cards or an odd number of cards because each card has a Y on it for yes or an N on it for no. And
Mm-hmm.
an odd amount of cards will give you an impression, but it also will tell you, the cards themselves will also tell you why the answer is no and why the answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
So many times, and this is another thing to remember, is that you will have a lot more information when you're open to your intuition. You'll have a lot more information that you're going to tell your client. A lot of it is just information for you on how to handle the emotional state of your client. So if I have lay down 5 cards and the answer is no, and I
Mm-hmm.
know she's hoping for a yes, okay,
Yeah.
then we need to say at this time, he's leaning away from this relationship. Doesn't mean it's going to be a permanent thing. In fact, we'll go 5 more cards and see what the next probable future is, and then also that will tell me, because we change our life at the level of action, karma is a perfect system. Whatever choice you make, there's a there's a consequence to it, good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
So the cards are going to tell you if your client needs to do something at the level of action. That's how we change our life, level of action. So the cards are going to tell you that, and or if it's just going to work out on its own and just remain peaceful. So there's that yes, no. I don't want you to just say, oh, is he cheating on me? And oh, the answer is yes. But no, you can't tell whether someone is actually literally physically cheating on someone. It could be you're tapping behind the eyes of that one client or her boyfriend. Is he cheating on me? I
Right.
said, let me go behind his eyes and find out. If I see something there, it doesn't mean that he's sleeping with me. It just means that he might have seen a cute waitress or something. It's an energetic
Mhm.
thing, right? So do not ever, ever, ever say, oh, yes, he's cheating. Oh, yes, he's going to leave you. Oh, yes. No, none of that. But what it does do, the yes, no does give enough information to the advisor to care for their client in a good way.
Mhm.
So that's what the yes and no is. But with getting a job, now those questions, not take the emotion out of it. I just applied for a job, 2 jobs, and I'd say, okay, give me the name or whatever the title of that one job, and then I'll do a yes no on that. And I have no problem saying, I don't think you're going to get it. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but it doesn't look like it's going to go your way on that one, but the next one, that kind of thing. When it's not of the heart, I could do yes, no all day.
That's probably,
uh,
yeah. That's,
just a little information out there for people.
yeah, that's really good. You talk a lot about intuition, and that's really woven throughout the cards and the book, and this, it might be a loaded question, but what's the best way to tap into that, really, maybe with this deck? And you might have several answers, or what's
You know, I just love this question. Thank you, Chris,
sure.
because this is what with the mind, body, spirit kind of group that we have. And there's two ways to divine the future.
Mhm.
Only two ways. And that is being an empath where you feel the emotion of what the future might bring,
Mhm.
and being intuitive where it's just the facts. I want students to remain as close into their intuition when they're reading,
Mhm.
because that's just the facts. There's no emotion to it.
Yeah.
Um,
Makes sense.
I work on 2 hotlines, and one hotline gives the client an option whether they wanted empath reading or a psychic reading.
Interesting.
And so if you stay within, let me put it this way: by the time your client, unless you're reading at a party,
Hmm.
but if let's say you're on a hotline, and by the time the client comes to you and dials your number and pays you X amount of dollars per minute
Hmm.
for this reading,
Yeah.
they have already talked to their best friend, their family, their coworker, maybe even their therapist, and they still haven't found the right combination of words to get them out of this frustrating moment in their life. So
Hmm.
they just shoot the moon and call me. Well, if I have a responsibility to that client to be a rock for them
Sure.
and not wishy-washy, and
Yeah.
I just have the facts, and I do use my imagination.
Hmm.
That's what an empath does. To get to the emotion, you use your imagination. And I use my imagination for storytelling, metaphors, and things like that.
Hmm.
But I try and divine the future through my intuition, which are just the facts.
Right.
So that's did that answer the question?
No, it did. Yes, thank you. No, it's a good it's a good demarcation. I think it's I guess maybe leaning toward. And I don't want to sway someone's going to be sitting for a reading, but you'd want just the facts. You wouldn't want to be too swayed by emotions, because you might get clouded. I'd imagine
Right,
sometimes
exactly.
you get too wrapped up into the emotional side of things, and so you'd want that intuitive, factual
The
response,
factual.
the factual
and
stuff.
that's and that's what makes us different than a therapist, a traditional therapist. Is that that's more where they're more empathy, and they give a person space to discover on their own where they're going,
Mhm.
whereas a psychic is able to say, if left alone, this is the most probable future. If you don't like that most probable future, you can change it at the level of action, and here are some steps,
Yeah.
period. And that's what they need, I think.
Oh,
That's what
exactly.
makes a good
Yeah. No,
good
you're exactly right.
counselor.
Yeah. So just it's funny. I went off. See, I got when
Yeah,
the
where'd you
idea
go?
of I think tarot used to be called kitchen table therapy or something, or kitchen table psychology.
Yes, exactly.
For some point, and so yeah, it's a different dimension.
I think we do good work. Yeah, I think we really, hotline work, it used to be, well, I think I'm proud of being able to work and serve so many people in the way I do, because there's a demographic that needs it. And there's really good advisors out there. So, so kitchen table therapy and all that stuff is just a new one. It's true, but if you've been around in life and you've had a couple battle scars in life, you'd make a good advisor and buy the deck.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'm not saying that's I'm using that as a valuable
Yeah.
name for something there
Yeah.
too. It's going to be more personal,
Mhm.
maybe more helpful at times even, really. And that's like you're saying, sometimes someone needs that right collection of words to
Right.
in the situation there and get them out of
Exactly.
they happen to be. So boy, there's a lot of things. We don't have a heck of a lot of time. There's so many things that to this as well. One of the great things about this is the rich cultural heritage that's throughout the cards and the deck and things like that. And what's the choice behind that specifically?
So some advisors, I'm not one of them, but some advisors have a gift of being able to describe someone someone might have come into their life.
Okay.
I am able to describe their personality, their traits, things like that, their status, whether they're married or not, that kind of stuff. I can do that. But as far as what do they look like, I can't do it. There's some people who would like to do it and can't right now. And that's what this would be. So let's say you're in a reading and I'll give you some. So you have like flipped 10 cards down. You've got 10 cards down. You're doing the reading. And you say, oh, you're going to meet somebody. It looks like someone's in your future. Oh, what do they look like? So the cards left in your hand become the next portion of the reading. You don't reshuffle anything. You just lay down each one until you find a court card. I would think a court card. You can use any one of the cards, because the three of wands is a beautiful Native American, and the Hermit, Native American character, culture. That if, let's say, you have the Hermit or the Three of Wands come up, you think, oh, okay, this looks like a Native American culture, or at least if they're not born native, they are respectful of maybe a shaman kind of thing. So that's how you can use the different cultures, the different eras for Akashic record readings. And then of course there's techniques to do mediumship as well. So
all right. Wonderful. Yeah, that's a great dimension to that, and also sets us apart, from other decks, that are out there too. It's a very approachable deck, I think, for that respect, for that reason as well. One thing I did want to talk about before is that there's a timing aspect, and there are some aspects that didn't manifest in the way we would have liked for this, and so I wanted to just talk about it a little bit. But it's still a very valid way to use this deck even without that. Do you want to go into that a little bit?
Sure, thank you so much. So there was a timing element that I was going to have numbers on each of the major cards. So when you're doing a reading and you're trying to do, timing, someone asks for timing at the last minute, you can throw the cards down until you get to a major card, and that would have like the strength card is an 8. And so you say, I see 8 hours, 8 days, 8 weeks, whatever you want to do, however your intuition does it. But those numbers didn't get printed on this first batch. We're going to go into many printings, but this first batch does not have the number series on it. So I have prepared a PDF, a downloadable PDF that will be hooked onto our Amazon page, and you can get a hold of me too. I'll just send it out. I'll have it on my website as a downloadable as well, free downloadable. But it gives you the timing, and it's basically, it starts with the Fool at 0, meaning right away, all the way to 21, which is the World card. So just buy a special marker, use this deck, use it so much that it feels like leather, right? This is a working deck, and so
leather it up.
What?
You leather it up. You should leather it up. Just
leather it up. Yeah. bend it up. But buy yourself a beautiful marker, and then with the list I'll provide, just go ahead and mark each of the major cards, and that'll do. There's another way of timing that if you do your reading and then it's at the end of the reading, they say how much time you can go forward, flipping cards down, each representing about 30 days until you reach a major card. That's another way for timing, but all of this is addressed in the after party. I'll have on my website, I have a downloadable book, Passion and Purpose, that you can have, and then the PDF will be on there too. So
great. Thank you to address that, and thank you for providing diversity for this deck here too. So you speak about the leathering it up, and another thing that you stress for this deck is personalizing the cards, which is a perfect segue into that. Why is that important to personalize these cards or make them have a connection with them? I should say have a personal connection with them. What's the importance of that?
Well, they're like your best friend, and I know that everyone who's worked professionally goes through a time where they throw 10 cards down for a reading and they go completely blank. Oh my gosh. There's going to be cards that you resonate with that are always going to be your friends. And it's going to, there's 78 cards in the deck, and there'll be a handful of them that you really enjoy, that every time you speak the truth about to a client about it, it always rings true, and they become favorites. And so what's nice about that is you have the image and everything in your mind. So when you meet someone at a party and one of your favorite cards comes up in your mind's eye, there's your intuition. That's if you wanted to talk with them, that's where you would go. But there's another way you can familiarize yourself, is just by practice, and understand that Spirit wants to talk to you so bad, like your spirit guides and your angels and all the higher octaves. They really want to give you the full story. And when people know the truth about their situation, they feel safer in the world. And so as you work with the tarot, you are going to start gaining a friendship with certain cards that are going to be directly for your spirit guide and your intuition. And so then a combination will come up, and you'll go with it and ask the client, I have this combination and I usually think it means ABC. Is that true? And then you get confirmation from your client, and then it solidifies your language that you've established. It's your own personal language. I'm going to tell you my language. I'll teach that every day. Right. You're going to develop your own language with spirit, and it's all through certain familiar cards.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I've heard that before, that you can start with these meetings, like I said, Hermes on top here, and that's a starting point, but it's not a finishing point. Really, as you do, as a reader would develop that relationship with the card, what it means for them, that might shift.
Yeah.
Use it, the more that it's going to be more precise, I'd imagine.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So I want to ask something about, there's something that stuck out to me, which is that I haven't heard before. How would you define still point practice? You mentioned it a couple times, a still point practice.
Or, okay.
I was curious about that.
So, thank you. So a still point to me is whenever right now I have done so many readings, and it's not when the phone rings, my heart doesn't go to my, get excited anymore. So, but whenever, even if it did, let's say like when I was going to come on here with you, I was getting really anxious and self-conscious and all that stuff. And then I entered my still point. And in my still point, there's only truth, and there's an empty room, and everything's fine. The temperature is perfect, and I don't have any rushes of emotion. It balances you. So you will have, that's the language you would build with this deck, or with tarot in general, is that you throw 10 cards down and you go blank, and you look at them again with fresh eyes and go into your still point, that empty room, and then say, okay, what do you want me to see? And maybe you'll see the Wheel of Fortune.
All right.
It's right here. And you don't know, you don't know what it means because you're not looking down and say, okay, that love means this. You're not doing that. It's just that one point,
Mm-hmm.
still point. And then after that, the words will come in an orderly fashion. Now, some people have to go into meditation before they do a reading. They have to cut cords before they do a reading. Sage, cleanse the cards. There's different ways to get to that still point.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be ritualistic, or it can be simply tossing the first card down and say, okay, spirit, let's go. It's go time.
Gotcha. That's really helpful. I'm glad I mentioned it because I think that might actually help any reader to get to. You mentioned earlier like about a fast track, and I think just a simple point like that might help someone who is new to reading to get on that fast track, to be able to kind of calm down and get into that still point, as you're calling it, to be able to have a more effective reading. So thank you for clarifying what that means there too. So we're gonna be out of time here soon, actually. So there are a bunch of things to talk about. I love how you broke up the different suits, for the traditional different elements and things like that, and with the different colors that are associated with those as well. So that's really fantastic. And I thought there's a lot of thought into that. What was the process like of creating it? What did you enjoy about that creation process, really?
I just love the whole idea. I've broken up the suits into personalities,
Mm-hmm.
and I've broken in my imagination. And when I'm an empath, the when because that's where you have to be when you create.
Yeah.
And so this different suits become, and especially the court cards become family to me. And different families have different traits, like with the different suits. And literally, you won't have to know anything about what each individual card means
Mm-hmm.
if you understand the suits. And so if you just say, oh, there's 3 out of 5 wands here, then you can talk a huge amount of paragraph after paragraph about the wand suit and the situation that brings into the reading, that kind of thing. But it's the different aspects is so fascinating and different because I offer a little different theory on reading the tarot only because I've done so many readings. In fact, one of the psychic hotlines I just checked this morning because it keeps a tally of how many readings a person is an advisor has done, and I've done 8,953.
I was going to do a drum roll for you there.
Drum roll.
Right. Oh my goodness! Wow, that's so many readings. Incredible.
But that is what makes it very because it's basically the same question coming in, right? But breaking it up with the different suits and the families and everything, you have a lot of information to share with your client.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah. So just another portion of why this is going to be so helpful for so many readers as well too.
Mm-hmm.
So what lies ahead? What's up for you? What's next for Deborah?
Well, I am in the process of writing another book. Thank you very much, Red Feather, for going a little deeper into the tarot, which is fun. But I also have using the Clarity deck. I have a video course for people who just want to fast track into from being novice to let's make a living. I've gotten that, and there's information on my website. I have a download for that, and basically I am going to starting the month of October because the launch date is the 27th of this month. So everyone should have their Clarity Tarot on their desk by October, and so that's when I'm offering a whole bunch of practice sessions. Come in and ask your questions. Feel overwhelmed. I'll make sure that you're able to enjoy the deck and work with your deck.
Okay, wonderful.
So that's what.
Good. That's exciting. Well, yes, yeah, that's a good. Yeah, please, everyone just go out and have it ready for your session in October. So, if someone interact with you, are you on social media? can readers and your followers, you mentioned your website. What's your website then?
My website is just my name.com, so it's debrazachau.com. My video video course is training.growyourlight.com. Excuse me, choking up. And of course, it's just my name on social media for Instagram and Facebook. It's Grow Your Light with Debra Zachau, and then I have a personal page which I post there too. I'm just like tarot is everything for me, so I'm everywhere with it.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to do this. It was a wonderful event. It's been a while since we've done one, so it's nice to get back in this groove here. And I'm glad that you were the first one to be able to do this again. It's so fun to be able to creators and things like that. So thanks for everyone who's tuning in. Then once they just watch this, so this will be on posting on Friday. Actually, is when it will go out Friday. This week, which is the 16th, I believe, at 4 o'clock. So Clarity Tarot is available on redfeathermbs.com and wherever Mind Body Spirit items are sold. So thanks to you all and have a beautiful day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.